The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, English Literature, Grade 5. Hello, my dear children. Can you guess what are we learning today? Today we are going to learn the 9th chapter, Becky, Thatcher. Let's refresh our minds. From Tom Returns, Chapter 8. Aunt Polly was really angry with Tom for having made her suffer so much and for not having given her some hint that he was not actually dead. Tom argues that doing so would have spoiled the whole adventure, but he admits that he dreamt about everyone back in town. Aunt Polly seems amazed by the power of Tom's vision and forgives him for not having visited her. Sid meanwhile wonders suspiciously how this dream could be so precise and detailed. Back home, Aunt Polly has learned from Mrs. Harper that Tom's dream was a fake and that he came home one night and spied on them. Aunt Polly scolds him for making her look like a fool in front of Mrs. Harper and then asks why he came home. Tom replies that he was going to leave a message for her, but he was afraid it would spoil the surprise, so he left it in his pocket. She sends him back to school and goes to look in the jacket that he wore to Jackson's Island, resolving not to be angry if the message is not there. When she finds it, she breaks down in tears and says, I could forgive the boy now if he'd committed a million sins. The characters of this chapter: Tom Sawyer, Becky Thatcher, Joe Harper, Benjamin Rogers, Mr. Dobbins, the schoolmaster, Emmy Lawrence, Gracie Miller, Suzanne Harper. The one thing Mr. Dobbins, the schoolmaster, really wanted was to be a doctor. Every day he took a mysterious book out of his desk and read it while the children were writing. He kept the book locked up and every child in the school wanted to know what it was. One day, as Becky Thatcher was passing the teacher's desk, she noticed that the key was in the lock. She looked around. There was nobody in the room. The next moment, the book was in her hands. She began to turn the pages. At that moment, Tom Sawyer stepped in at the door. Becky tried to close the book very quickly before he could see, but in her hurry, she accidentally tore the page. She pushed the book into the desk and turned the key. Becky started to cry, saying, Tom Sawyer, I hate you. I know you're going to tell and then I'll be punished. I've been punished in school. And she ran out of the room. What funny things girls are, Tom thought. Never been punished in school? What's a beating? Well, of course, I'm not going to tell Mr. Dobbins. When the master came and school started, Tom wasn't really interested in his studying. A whole hour passed. Then Mr. Dobbins unlocked his desk and brought out his book. Two of the children watched him anxiously. He opened the book. When the master stood up and looked at the school, everyone felt fear. Who tore this book? There was not a sound. The master looked at face after face. Then, Benjamin Rogers, did you tear this book? No, sir. Joe Harper, did you? No, sir. The master looked closely at the faces of all the boys. Then he returned to the girls. Amy Lawrence? No, sir. Gracie Miller? No, sir. Suzanne Harper, did you do this? No, sir. The next girl was Becky Thatcher. Becky Thatcher, did you tear? No, look at me. Did you tear this book? Tom stood up and shouted, I did. Tom was so pleased with his own splendid act that he received his beating, the most cruel that even Mr. Dobbins had ever given anyone without a sound. He didn't even mind the added cruelty of an order to stay in the school for 2 hours after the other children had gone. Now it's time to do the exercises in your literature writing book. Page number 71. What did Becky tear? How did the two children watch Mr. Dobbins? What fine thing did Tom do? What happened to him after that? See you with another interesting lesson. Goodbye.